Hi, my name is Niket Karajagi and I'm a business coach. I live in India and I happened to meet up with Swarn and we got chatting about her podcast and I'm happy and privileged to be a part of her podcast where I speak about e-learning. I'm sure with her passion for podcasting and the message that she wants to take to the world, her podcast will definitely do well and they would be viewed and listened by a lot of people. Thank you so much. Please do enjoy our conversation together, me and Swan, and I'm sure it will definitely value add to your journey of learning because we discuss e-learning and we discuss a whole lot of other aspects about how technology and knowledge go together. Thank you so much. Thank you, Swan. Bye bye.
So today we have a guest joining us from Pune, and he's a business coach, global leader, assessor. He's an NLP, TEDx speaker, podcaster, and whatnot. So come, Niket Karajagi. Welcome. Welcome for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. So I would love to know from you first that how exactly this business thing started for you. Was it like something you had in your mind from a long time when you started working?
Well, I think when I was in college doing my engineering, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I'm a first generation entrepreneur in my family. My family comes from a typical service class background. Everybody was in the government service. And I felt that I had to be different, so I nurtured an entrepreneurship dream. I started off my work as a corporate entity. I started off as as a customer support engineer, supporting CAD/CAM tools because I'm a mechanical engineer. And to do justice to what I had learned in college. From there on, I moved into sales, then I moved into product management, then I moved into factory and operations. From there on, I moved into becoming the regional head operations for IT company. I was providing hardware solutions and software solutions long time back. And then I moved into education as the franchise head, after the franchise branding and franchise model of education. And while I was going through my corporate career, I suddenly realized that I was getting bored. Okay. So I grew to become a associate vice president, and that was on cards. Promotion was on cards. But then I realized that that's not exactly what I am enjoying in life. Every time I used to go to the office, I used to wonder what am I doing in life. So I really hit my midlife crisis at the age of 30, and by the time it was 32, I was like, I'm lost. And I was at a point where I would have actually either taken on to the mess of corporate life, or the other choice available to me was to get out of the mess and restructure my life. I chose the other option.
Got it. Got it.
So
So did you had a coach, like you are a business assessor or you are a business coach?
I did have a mentor. In fact, my first input in this podcast of yours would be that unless you choose a mentor for yourself, you can't succeed. Because when you come to crossroads in life, obviously your cognitive abilities aren't functioning the way they're supposed to function. You need somebody in your life who can help you to discover your innate capabilities, your endowments. And I chose the mentor. Now, interestingly about a mentor is the mentor never comes to you and says, hey, I want you to be your mentor.
Yeah.
You have to understand that that person can be your mentor, and then you go seek mentoring.
Got it.
I did that. And I sat with my mentor and I said, hey, look, this is what I'm going through. And I said, one thing that I really enjoy is studying human behavior. I enjoy the process of life. I enjoy the mysteries of life. And I would like to get into occupation, which would be about behaviors, which would be about the joy of life and all that. And that's when this whole idea of conceptualizing an organization, which would be into behavioral sciences and coaching and all that came in. So I sat down and I conceptualized my organization 22 years ago, from the date you're taking the podcast right now. And I asked myself this question: what is it that I want people to do? And the answer that I got within was, I would love people to confront their truth, confront their reality. And
Yeah.
that's the of my organization. It's called Atyasa, which typically means transcending to the truth, understanding what you're here for, deriving your sense of purpose. And that's become my joy of life now.
Got it. Wonderful. So, was there any question of how to know the right mentor? Because sometimes I think that is also crucial, because yeah, it's not very easy that comes through, like the person next to you is going to be a right mentor. How do you do that?
Look, it's a calling of the heart. You'll always go through the heart and the mind conflict.
Yeah.
If you may, you would call it heart and the brain conflict. But the point is, when you do come across a mentor, something inside you tells you that you must take this person as a mentor. And by the way, mentor is not a person who's fixed in life for you. You can always change your mentors. You can have multiple mentors. Each mentor will provide you certain inputs pertaining to their domain, their experiences in life. So it always makes sense to have multiple mentors. There's no problem there. And I think any mentor who has a problem in terms of individual having a multiple mentor is not really a mentor. Right? And then
Yeah.
mentor, what you're talking to a person on a regular schedule, and you're doing your Zoom calls. No, it's a once in a while call, and maybe after some time you disconnect with the mentor also, and then probably you speak to your mentor once a year, once in 2 years, maybe to share just a good feeling about where you are. Or input that I would give is, if your heart tells you that this person should be your mentor, now don't think twice.
Got it.
Just
Got
go for it.
Hmm. Great. So, I would like to know that since you were in your initial age, and this is like 30s, usually, you are young, and people you end up dealing with are more mature than you are. Or, you are not in that age where you are able to give them advice, or you are coming up with certain aspect to their business which you feel is right, but they don't. How did you handle that kind of a situation when it was your initial phase?
I think so. What I did was, I didn't get onto my business immediately for nearly 3 years. In any case, first years nothing happens in a startup.
Yeah.
You're like struggling and you're trying to get your business through. So the first 3 years I really spent in my library. I read a whole lot of books. I think knowledge is truly the power in the 21st century. And I realized that earlier on. And when in those 3 years, in fact, today also I'm a student. If I look at my 22 years of journey as an entrepreneur, there isn't a single day when I haven't read up a book, or I have not been in the university, or I have not been into academics. I mean, I still go to my university. I am now an
You are doing
aspirant.
your PhD.
Correct. So I think in the world that we live in today, it's important that we realize we should be students for life. I think the termination of success happens when we believe that we have learnt it all.
Yeah.
Look, there are three things to life: one that we know, one that we don't know, and one that we will never know. Right?
Absolutely.
Now, one that we don't know, we've got to be humble enough to say that I don't know.
Yeah.
And coming to the answer that you were seeking, at a young age, when you're wanting to be a coach to maybe a CEO or a C-1 level, yes, in the beginning, age does become a barrier. I think when the screening process is going on, it does happen. But
Yeah.
ultimately, when you are sitting with the person, and if wisdom is flowing through your thoughts, now age doesn't matter. Also, if you've been through hardships in life and you have a true story for yourself in your life, people connect with your story. I think people want to be with people who have been through downs in life, and then they have come out of those problems and those areas that have been disastrous for them. And every time you've risen as a phoenix bird, people really like that story. And I think I am a person who is full of mistakes in life. And I have seen so many failures in life. I may have lost money, which is huge. But I think that's what makes me create winners, because when you've personally been through situations which are turbulent in nature in your life, when you could be coming to a point where you would say, now I'm done, I can't get out of this situation, and still you emerge as a winner out of those situations. I think that's the time you can be a coach, that's the time you can be a mentor. So it's all about knowledge that you acquire and the wisdom that you gather in life because of confronting the failures that you've been through and emerging as winner out of that.
Yeah,
Then
absolutely.
it's not a problem at all.
Yeah. So you're doing PhD in what?
So I am now researching. So I have been researching this topic for a long time. It's called VUCA. It's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world that we live in. So whether you're a corporate professional or you're a startup person or an entrepreneur who's got a global enterprise, the environment that we're operating in is volatile. That means the business drivers will evaporate. The
Yeah.
current drivers may not hold true at all. So business models have to change constantly. It's uncertain. You don't know when those business drivers will evaporate.
Yeah.
They're complex. You don't know how they behave. Even if they don't evaporate and they're there, you don't know how they're going to behave. And it's ambiguous. That means you don't know the correlation between these business drivers. So that's the 21st century we're living in.
Yeah.
And therefore, innovation is the way of life. Critical thinking is the way of life. Understanding how the borderless world operates. Understanding what it is to do business across borders through the e-commerce, leveraging on internet as one of the areas in business as a powerful area. All that matters in the VUCA world, and I'm researching currently on what are those behaviors required to be successful in this VUCA world.
Wow. Wonderful. So, yeah, so since now the COVID time is there and everyone is more or less working from home, and it is something digital market is growing, and this is something we all have experienced it, realized it, and it's like something which was not given at all an importance of.
Yes.
So what do you feel about the kind of courses you are offering on your social platform as far digital market is concerned?
Okay, so when I created Atyasa 22 years ago, I knew somehow, since I came from technology, I knew that ultimately the world will move towards digital content. So
Okay.
22 years I started building digital content. So I've got humongous content today.
Okay.
And what happened was I didn't get into e-learning during COVID. I didn't get into e-learning because pandemic happened. I moved into e-learning around 4 years ago. So I was doing my certification in entrepreneurship with one of the international universities. And I realized that e-learning is just about going to happen. It's going to go big. I also knew that we were ahead of time. So e-learning is not going to really move for us instantaneously. So I started this whole concept of moving into e-learning. And we aggregated all the content that we had created. So I have around 400 all publications, I have around 125 odd videos, I had 100 plus blogs. Now obviously there are podcasts. So I've been generating content for the last 22 years. Now all I had to do was bring the whole content together. I had my own website. So I had a corporate website. I had this website called NiketKarajagi.com. We had a website on ClientNet. So I had invested heavily. We had huge digital assets. Now all that we had to do was look for a portal where we aggregate all our content. And it was a matter of probably 45 days for us to build a massive portal which was all about corporate leadership and management. So there are courses which are a combination of videos, e-learning, which is videos and blogs and podcasts. So you name it, and it's there. There are quizzes there. So there are publications there. There are case writings that I have done, which are there. So we created this, and we went out into the market, and there were no takers, because in any case at that point in time, people thought that learning happens with the facilitator right in front of you.
Yeah.
But I knew, I had conviction that someday the world will go the technology way.
Yeah.
Tech education was happening. Then the pandemic happened. And when the pandemic happened, at that point in time, people started thinking, okay, why don't we go the blended route? So
Yeah.
they wanted sessions to happen over Zoom. And interestingly for us, or probably Microsoft Teams, or any other portal for that matter. But then what we realized was that not many facilitators were really equipped to handle that, because you can, there's a fatigue associated with the e-learning process.
Yeah.
And the fatigue associated with e-learning process, now what happens is that people can't really focus on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right, and therefore what happened was we had to really tell them, hey, look, you can do 2-hour sessions with us, but before that you go into the e-learning portal, finish off your program, and then you come and do the work with us. And that's how it happened.
Okay, got
So
it.
now, like, I mean, okay, now in fact, we're getting requests for subscriptions where people are saying we don't want to go the blended way. We would like to do the courses with you. And then we would also like to subscribe and allow our people to do programs which are ubiquitous in nature. Anytime, anywhere, they should be able to do the program. So we are okay with that, no problem at all. In fact, we love it. I mean, my whole idea is if you don't call me, it's always better, because I can reach a lot more people and you can also optimize on your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, is there any course you have on your platform for, I would say, the startup first of all, or maybe these days content creation is very important. Do you have anything on that as well?
So I have a program called the Master Tech-Educator.
Okay.
Master Tech-Educator has been created for people who want to create content and take it out into the arena of learning. Okay, most of my courses are 40-hour courses.
Got it.
Right. Then I have a course for entrepreneurs and for corporate leaders, which is on design thinking. Because in the 21st century, if there is one competency that's required, that's design thinking.
Yeah.
So I have created a case study of how Atyasa Online was created, how it became successful, because obviously it's my case study. I don't need to take any licensing rights from anybody. So design thinking is a course that I would definitely recommend to entrepreneurs. I would definitely recommend to leaders in the organization who are driving a change. And I would definitely recommend it for aspiring professionals who want to really make it big in life. So Marketing Educator and design thinking, these two are there. The third course is critical thinking. So while you're innovating, you might also want to get into, you wear a black hat and you want to see what's not going right and you want to do critical thinking. So there's a course there on critical thinking also.
Sure. So what exactly is critical thinking? What do you would like to explain for people who doesn't know about it?
So critical thinking is, let's say you're confronting a situation and that situation is turbulent in its own way. Now you have to wear a black hat and deep dive into it and see what is the causation of that turbulence. And while you get into the causation, now you have to take a series of sequential decisions which can enable you to not only rectify the situation, but emerge out of the situation. Now the difference between design thinking and critical thinking would be, design thinking is more for forward thinking. It's more in terms of
future.
It's driven by a need. This is driven by a real life problem that you're confronting and that's creating huge turbulence in your life. So for instance, startups, they have an idea that's conceptualized. With design thinking, you may create situations which are forward looking. You've conceptualized your business, but once you get into business, you're going to be confronting a lot of issues, a lot of situations.
Yeah. So I'm sure it can be reached out to you in case someone is stagnant in their business. They are not able to grow their business, and they can definitely do that kind of a course, or they can reach out to you for more, I think moderation or changes to it.
Absolutely. In fact, I have developed a program which is based on MBTI, where I allow people to discover themselves through the most fascinating tool of MBTI created by Carl Jung, where you understand what your personality is, you understand where are you deviating from your personality, and then you take your personality into your business so that you can brand yourself, you can express your personality completely, and when you're able to express your personality completely, you don't appear to be a confused person.
Exactly.
Okay, and then you can actually align your behaviors in line with your personality. And I'm not a person who believes in long drawn process. It's like, these are bespoke coaching programs. It's like you can complete it in 3 sittings, 4 sittings. That's it. Yeah. Then
so do you have success stories for people who have completed in 3-4 sittings itself?
Absolutely. I have coached and trained around 200,000 people worldwide as of now.
Wow.
And a failure can only happen when the person wants to just quit.
Yeah.
if it's a half-hearted effort and you've already decided that you're just going to play and experiment and you're not wanting to carry forward your experiment to its point of culmination, then obviously you have the option to quit. And if you're quitting, then no coach can help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my suggestion would be, if you are committed to your goal, if you're committed to creation of an enterprise, we have all the analytics, the wisdom and everything available here in our organization. I have a massive team that backs me up, and we are able to create amazing entrepreneurs. There's no problem, and we have created amazing entrepreneurs for sure. My podcast, Maverick Entrepreneurship, is also dedicated to entrepreneurs who really want to take the route of entrepreneurship. So if you don't want to talk to me, those podcasts are available for free. Because I understand that a lot of times startups don't have money. They are cash strapped. Cash burn during startups. So I'm saying, why do you want to come to me then? There are podcasts available. Take it. NiketKarajagi.com is a website. Go there. You have all the information available there. Their blogs, their videos, everything is available there. Go take it for free.
Yeah, wow, that's wonderful. I think that's a very value-adding work you are doing for the community.
Look, it's to be given.
Yeah.
Right. And then if people decide that there is value in the knowledge, they will come and take your services for sure. So I have never marketed my services ever.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I would like to know, how do you connect that to NLP? I mean, of course, NLP is a completely a different aspect to it, but you have been connecting that as well to your business and to your leaders or to people you want to grow them, coach them. So how exactly NLP is helping that?
So NLP master practitioner I did because I didn't come from an HR background. I was an operations guy, and when I was establishing myself as a trainer, at that point in time, the industry was not mature. It had not got into coaching. So I had to do certain training programs which were like team building. It could be about leadership. So people would look for some certification. I took up NLP as a certification just to bolster my entry into the domain of training and learning and development. But I'll tell you, I never taught NLP to anybody.
Okay.
NLP I primarily use for myself. So when you are struggling, when you're taking your startup through and you're a first generation entrepreneur, NLP helps you to program yourself for success. It wires your brain completely. NLP takes you into a world which is not rational.
Yeah.
It's quite esoteric if you really ask me. And that also made a seeker out of me. I went into huge seeking. I mean, there's a massive spiritual background to what I do in life also. Yeah. Though I do not bring it into my work, but NLP was possibly the gate opener for me there.
Yeah. But so why don't you bring it into your work? And I mean, why there is a, I would say, not alignment to that part? Do you feel that it would help you if you align it with that? Like you practice Vipassana as well. I
do. And though I do not profess spirituality in my coaching process, but I have created podcasts on Zen, and there is a separate podcast available on Zen, the Essence of Excellence in Leadership. I've also written a book which is there on Amazon. I personally believe that if you want to be an entrepreneur, there has to be a very strong spiritual background to you. But I don't know how many people are open to that. I don't know how many people want to delve into that. So unless and until a person is open to those conversations, I don't have those conversations. So I have two tracks. Either I would take entrepreneurship, leadership at a very, very rational level, purely dealing with management models, leadership models. And if somebody is interested in moving into spiritual intelligence, so I have a course on emotional intelligence, by the way. And ER is something that takes you into SQ for sure. But I have now moved into the process of creating audio programs. So I have created a bucket of $9.99, and I'm trying to bring down the cost of learning to possibly 10 cents per program. So it's a $9.99 bundle, and I'm going to keep adding audio programs to it. Currently there are 10 programs. Possibly I will add a whole lot of more programs. And if I can drive the $9.99 so per program cost, if I'm able to drive down even to 30 cents or 10 cents, that means I'm opening up learning to the entire world. So there is a program on spiritual quotient there.
Got it.
And there will be a few more programs coming up on spiritual quotient there for sure.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So some of the best of the, I would say, initially, like when you're starting up, some of the best books you would suggest for people who want to do that to begin with.
Oh, I was deeply impressed by this book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, it's about a psychiatrist who was taken into the concentration camp during the World War, and it's a book about how people survived those horrendous conditions and how they look forward, how they actually envisioned their life subsequent to the war getting over. It's an amazing book. I think people should read it. There's another book that I read by Scott called The Road Less Traveled. It's
Okay.
about a book which is about why you should not take the path that is the path of instant gratification, how you need to ensure that you are into an unconventional path and you are getting into territories which nobody else has gone in, and that's how you actually create your identity and branding. I think these two books really, really touched me. Obviously, I mean, I read a whole lot of other books also. Not that they've not played a role, but I think these two books have really left a very deep mark in my life.
Got it. Wonderful. So I would like to know here that since this is all aspect of more of spiritually growth person, but when it comes to business, I think especially for some people, they are very emotional people. They can't ask for money, or the money negotiation especially becomes a challenge, and that's where I think most of the businesses have a major challenge of success. You know. Uh, and I think that's where especially in India, I think there is a challenge, and that's why I also feel that most of the companies from abroad come to India. You know, it's because I think we are not that much into money, minuteness of money counting. You know, like if it is 1.99, we are okay, or we don't think like that, because it's like 1 rupee or 2 rupee, it's okay. But I think when you see as a accounting perspective, it's a huge thing, right? So all these things add on to a lot of I think a challenge for a person who is in a startup state or is trying to build on a business. And
Yeah.
that point of time, I think it creates a lot of challenge for a person. So what do you have to say in that aspect to it, not to get emotional, or how should you handle it?
So look, I can understand people are guilty making money. That's a part of the culture.
Yeah.
It's a part of certain cultures where if you're making a lot of money, you're not the correct person.
It comes very often. Yeah.
These are deep psychological imprints, karmic imprints that we have. But I think as an entrepreneur, when you do become an entrepreneur, you need to understand that you are taking care of families. Your employees are dependent on you. As an entrepreneur, you are a wealth generator. You're not a consumer of wealth. As an entrepreneur, you are definitely value adding to the quality of life of people. But while you're doing that, you also need money. You need money so that your work can grow. I mean, in the last so many years of my work that I've done, I have not taken dividends home ever. All right. I've always plowed the money into the organization because, your organization requires money to grow. If you use your organization as an instrument to become wealthy,
Yeah.
and ultimately you kind of kill your organization because of that, that's not fair. Now, I am running a private limited company. I have a Section 8 company, which is a foundation. I have an LLP. But I have ensured that I remain a person who's on salary in the organization. Okay, so like any other member of my organization, I would also take my salary, and my salary is equivalent to any of the senior person who is equal to me.
Yeah, I
Right?
got it. So, do you feel that why you are in that kind of a phase, because you're an entrepreneur, you can go ahead with any amount of money, or you can be taking care of more larger scale of money.
Tell you what, if you are truly passionate about your work, given a choice between whether you would utilize the money for your own life or your passion, I think most of the people come to a point in life where they start using money for their passion. I think passion is supreme. Passion is something that keeps you going.
Yep.
And you love it when you see your passion reaching, crossing continents probably.
Yeah.
And when you start crossing continents, you need the money. I think without money, it's impossible for a business to grow big. I mean, I have huge investments in technology. Okay. Now, obviously, if I am conducting my business through technology and I am using a lot of, products which are software as service, then obviously my subscription costs are very heavy monthly.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if I want to give value to people, and if I am using the route, if I'm using the route of technology, I better have the money to ensure that I can consistently provide that value to people.
Yeah.
Fortunately, what happens with a lot of people who start an organization or start an enterprise, they think that business is all about becoming rich. You become rich, but becoming rich is a byproduct.
Yeah.
Your principal game in life is to nourish your passion, to nourish the organization that you have created. And whether you're a woman entrepreneur or you are a man who's into entrepreneurship, the rule holds true for both.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately, the organization becomes rich. The organization becomes wealthy. But because you and the organization are the same, you also become wealthy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the whole
Yeah.
thing. One thing for sure, if you want to become rich, keep your organization clean. Your finance process has to be so compliant, it has to be so clean that you don't waste your time into scenarios of cover up, because that can be really unproductive time. In my organization, right from the time of inception, ethics has been a priority here, and our tolerance to unethical practices is near zero. We don't permit a member of the organization to continue even for an hour if an unethical practice is unearthed.
Got it.
And because we are so ethical, what happens is the system is so clean that we don't have to spend unproductive time on cleaning up any botch-ups that have happened in the process of financial compliances.
Got it.
So corporate governance is the key, however big or however small you may be. I think governance is an area where people have to really, really focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to know what are the major things you feel are the challenges for people who are into startup, as in a young mind or a young person who is doing, trying to set it up. What are the major things you see often that is missing? And people don't look that.
There's only one thing that's missing here, and that is resilience. Look,
Okay.
if you are convinced about your idea, now just go for it. And please understand, entrepreneurship is not an easy journey. It takes time to build an organization.
Yeah.
Your organization is not going to go big within maybe 6 months. It's taken me 12 years to create an organization. Now you need that resilience, because you're going to go through those highs and lows when you're creating your organization.
Yeah.
I think people quit too early in life here.
Got it. So that's
it-
what you feel.
That's the only look. Knowledge is not a problem. Expertise is not a problem. Money comes, goes. Cash burns are a part of your business life in any case. Not to quit. That resilience is extremely critical. And if you're honest, if you're in integrity with your business, there's nothing to worry. Even the worst of the scenarios, you're able to emerge out of them as winners.
So what do you say when it comes to, trying to take care of your never quitting spirit? When you have to develop that spirit, because sometimes, you are not born with that kind of a character. But now, because you have startup and now you are here, you don't want to miss on it. You just want to grab this opportunity and keep going ahead. So
Right.
what do you have to say?
That's an interesting question, Swan. And my answer would be ask yourself this question: are you resilient before even you get onto the journey of startup? And if you've been a quitter in life, don't get onto startups. You know, now where does this resilience come from? Well, if you've been through hardships in life and you fought your way through, and your self worth and your self esteem is very high, you will never remember. You know, one thing that I've realized is none of the successful people ever remember their failures. They remember their success.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know why this happens, but this happens.
Yeah. I think they focus, of course, the focus is more on the good aspect, the positive things.
Differently. I mean, if you're going to be a victim, if you are only possessed with all the things that have gone wrong in your life, entrepreneurship is not your game.
Wow.
Perpetual optimism, resilience, not remembering failures, only remembering your successes, that's what drives you to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought leadership. You've got to be better than the best in the business. If you're not that, you can't create an organization which is large enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the best points you would say going to investors, when a person who is new, some of the best things you would say, it's like something you should definitely have in you when you're going to investor.
My first answer would be, why do you need an investor? It's
Okay.
your thing, it's your passion, you nourish it, you monetize it. The moment you bring an investor in, I have no quarrels with investors. Huh?
Yeah. Surely.
Right. But the point is, the moment an investor comes, he's not going to be bothered about your passion. He's going to count the number of teas and coffees that you've had. Because ultimately, end of the day, is the project giving him an ROI?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you have created an organization which is not your passion, but you have created an organization because you want a venture capitalist to come in, you want your multiple rounds, you want to make your money, and then you just want to exit. If that's what your objective is, go look for a VC.
Okay.
Now, here's what I'll tell you. So, I have participated in a lot of VC forums, not because I wanted money, but VCs call me because they want me to tell them, they want me to give them expert guidance whether this startup will succeed or fail. And I'm thankful to them for that. Now, here's what happens. If you are a lady entrepreneur, now I'm going to tell you something which is researched. Huh?
Yeah.
If you're a lady entrepreneur, it is your competence that matters. If you are a male entrepreneur, it is your looks that matter. Unfortunately, people do the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So a man who's an entrepreneur has to be extremely polished, right? I'm not discounting the competence, but when a VC looks at you, the person looks at your passion, the person looks at the way you look, and you're done. But when it comes to a female entrepreneur, the VC would look at competence. Why? Now this is a very interesting insight, because the point is that, men normally don't look good. They don't feel the need. That means if you do look good in a VC conversation, they take you more seriously. And ladies culturally have been brought up, the upbringing has been such that you have to look good.
Yeah.
They're nurtured in a way that they must look good. So it is taken for granted that a lady is bound to look good. Therefore, what do people look for? People look for competence. So when you're standing in front of a VC, and this is my input for all the lady entrepreneurs, when you're standing in front of a VC, amplify your competence.
Got it.
Yeah, and then you're through.
Wow, that's an excellent point. Sure.
Not many people at this point. In fact, they argue with me on this, but what do I do?
No, I don't want to get into it, so I'll not say that. No. Great. So, I would like to know 5 blessings which you feel is like something you can definitely count all the time, that these are the blessings for life you have got.
One is, you got to be the instrument of the divine.
Wow.
Okay? If you are not the instrument of the divine, you're not going to succeed. Because if you are the doer And if you're saying you're doing the business and you are the one who's responsible for the business to grow, you're telling yourself a lie. There are a series of coincidences and providences that happen when you are into the realm of business. You meet people by coincidence. There are so many unplanned things that happen. And that's one thing that I've learned, that when you are contributing to the lives of people, you become an instrument of the divine.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's one. That's certainly the first one. The second blessing that you must seek at your own quest, travel a lot. Okay, now obviously traveling may not seem to be a blessing for a lot of people, but I'll tell you how traveling becomes a blessing. Because when you travel, you have diversity of experience. Each land that you visit, each culture that you get to know, each individual that you meet in different countries, they educate you.
Yeah.
They give you diversity of experience.
Sure.
Right? The third thing I would certainly say is, like what I started off saying, remain a student of life here. That's the biggest blessing that you can ever have. The moment you become a teacher, you're finished. Because even best of the professors in academic institutions have been great students and are great students. You will find them sitting in the library reading books. Right? So knowledge is the biggest blessing after divinity for sure. Yeah, that's the third one. The fourth one is the richness of relationships that you nurture in your life. Select your people well. Don't be with people who are toxic. Don't be with people who will take you onto a wrong road. There are enough naysayers in life.
Yeah.
Right? Be with optimists. Be with successful people. And if I have to talk about the fifth blessing, technology. If you do not have the prowess of technology, if you don't have the prowess of technology, you are just not going to succeed in the 21st century ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the facts.
Leveraging. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Wow. Great. Great. And I wish you all the good luck and hope to connect more and listen from you once again. And thank you. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.